Good afternoon. My name is Patrick Hoyer. I'm the producer, I guess, and creator of the experiment WIP. And recently I've been receiving a few questions that I thought would be a good time to answer at this point in the story to try to get a better idea of exactly what's going on and what the project's concept actually is. The experiment WIP stands for the Experiment Work in Progress, and that title actually fits with the storyline and with the concept of the show as well. And I would like to start with the concept very briefly if I can. The idea of the experiment WIP was based upon an old writing exercise in which an individual starts a story and then hands the story on to the next individual who will change it or will actually write the next part of the story based upon their own interpretation of how the story started, based upon their own point of view, based upon where they thought the story should go. And then that person would hand it on to the next person. And you would continue this process until the story came to its conclusion. And it was very interesting to see that the story how it started and the story how it ended was sometimes slightly changed, or sometimes it was changed dramatically, just dependent upon the individual's point of view who were writing the story with you. And that's kind of the idea of the experiment work in progress. There is actually a very linear outline of what the story is about and about what is taking place. It's not a really set in stone type of story. Each of the characters and each of the videographers are actually co-creators in this process, in that when they film, their story is added to the story that has already begun, and the stories change slightly based upon their interpretation and their character's point of view. So what, for example, Lainey, one of the characters in that story, what she does in her videography may alter what my character or another character does and how they all interact. And by doing this, we hope to create a really fluid type of film, a film that is not quite static, does not have a definitive set beginning or end as a storyline, and that actually helps us understand a real world phenomenon, which is that everything is not always what it seems, and one person's actions actually change the outcome of the events that occur in the world. And so that's kind of what our story is about. Now, what does this have to do with why I am here explaining work in progress? Well, one of the concepts that we have is we want our viewers to partake in our world. And I know that a lot of stories have promised this in the past, but this is really our core concept, and is that viewers, by their responses, by their interactions, can become part of the story, and their interactions actually will affect our characters because we'll have to respond in real time. And so we really encourage people to interact with us, to interact with our characters, to interact with part of the story. If you like making videos and films, we ask you to feel free to jump on in. Film responses to our videos as well, and if they are fitting with where our characters are going with the time, you may get a response. We may take and incorporate your storyline into ours. For a very few individuals, if we really like where your storyline is going or your interaction, we can actually have the choice of making you a canon character, and not by any huge process, not by any competition, just create good videos and follow the story, interact with us, and you may all of a sudden find yourself what we call a part of the canon story, and kind of get behind the scenes information about what we expect to happen next. Now, there is a set storyline that we are working from, but as I said, it does change based upon each individual filmographer's interaction and interactions that we have from our viewers. But there is a story and some rules that the main characters right now do have to follow, and if you were to be interacting with us, you would probably figure out what some more of those would be. But that's kind of the idea of the experiment work in progress. We want a real world in which individual viewers can interact with us, can partake in the story, and can actually help us create a real world type of video series. Now again, I don't think this has ever been attempted before in this scale, just opening the storyline up. Again, I also can't promise that we'll react to everybody. Your stories kind of have to fit in, or your videographies kind of have to fit in with what we're doing right now. But it kind of gives you an opportunity to partake in our storyline. The next video that I'm going to record is going to tell you about what that storyline is and how you can assist us with that.